Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday, March 16, Sioux Falls City Council meeting. Thanks for joining us in person or joining us online, wherever you're at. We'll go ahead and get started tonight by reading our roll, please, Tom.
Councilmember Starr.
Here.
Brecky.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Kiley.
Here.
Neitzert.
Here.
Selberg.
Here.
Sale.
Here.
All right, Councilors Kiley, Neitzert, and Selberg are joining us telephonically tonight. And with us tonight to give our invocation is Pastor Larry Forrestal from New Beginnings Faith Church. So I'd ask that you rise for his invocation and then stay standing for our Pledge of Allegiance, please.
First of all, I want to thank the council and the mayor for this opportunity, but I also want to say thank you for all that you're doing for our city. I believe we live in a great city, and I'm pleased to be a citizen of Sioux Falls, and so I just want to say thank you. Thank you. So let's pray. Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus, your word says that we are to pray, make intercessions, and give thanks for kings and for those who are in authority. You said the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord. You turn it whithersoever you desire. Tonight, Father, we come before you in the mighty name of Jesus, and I pray for these council members and the mayor and their staff. I pray that you protect them, keep them from harm, give them wisdom and understanding, Father, into the affairs of this city. Father, give them vision for the future. Give them the steps that need to be taken, Father, to ensure the continued growth and the success of all the citizens of this city, Father. And I want to thank you for that in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Pastor Forrestal, for our invocation, and we'll move on to item 4, which is our consent agenda, and ask if there's any changes or motions there.
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second. Jensen.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Jensen to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion there, council? All right, let's take a vote on that, please.
Councilmember Starr.
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Neitzert.
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
All right, that item passes 8-0. Item 36 is our regular agenda. Look for a motion on that.
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second. Jensen.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Jensen to approve that. Councilor Erickson, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to amend by moving item 54 to immediately following item 44.
Second. Jensen.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Jensen to move item 54 to immediately follow item 44. Any discussion on that? All right, let's take a vote on that, please.
Councilmember Starr.
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Neitzert.
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. We're at the main motion as amended. Any other amendments to make? All right, hearing none, let's vote on the main motion.
Councilmember Starr.
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Neitzert.
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. So before we move on to our regular agenda, just want to review public input procedures for our agenda items. For regular agenda items, the comments are limited to 3 minutes unless the item is being presented for its final adoption, in which case public input will be limited to 5 minutes. For all regular agenda items, comments are limited to the agenda item that's under consideration at that time only. And during general public input at the end of the meeting, comments will be no more than 3 minutes per person and will be limited to topics that we haven't received input on earlier in the evening, so items that weren't on our agenda. So with that being said, we'll move on to our unfinished business, item 37.
Item 37, new 2021 retail wine and cider license, a new 2020-21 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Sense Hospitality LLC Harvester Kitchen by Brian, 196 East 6th Street, Suite 101, CUP not required. Item 38, new 2021 retail wine and cider license, requesting off-sale use only for Bredico 6219 Southwestern Avenue, CUP not required. Item 39, transfer of 2021 retail liquor license from Vanguard Hospitality 4, Turks and Caicos Cabana Grill, 5001 Southwestern Avenue, to Let It Fly South Dakota LLC, 5001 Southwestern Avenue. Item 40, transfer of 2020-21 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license, requesting off-sale use only from Ashna LLC, Ashna Asian Market, 4713 East Arrowhead Parkway, to Molly Market LLC, Molly Market, 4713 East Arrowhead Parkway. Item 44, transfer of 2021 retail wine and cider license and transfer of 2020-21 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license, effective May 1st, 2021, from Ashna LLC, Extra Time Sports Bar, 4719 East Arrowhead Parkway, to Malley Market LLC, business name to be determined, 4719 East Arrowhead Parkway. Item 42, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Stockyards Ag Experience, 301 East Falls Park Drive, for a social event on March 30th, 2021. And item 43, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for River Greenway Hospitality, to be operated at Midwest Living, 716 East 19th Street, for a business event on June 12th, 2021.
Good evening, Jamie.
Jamie Palmer with licensing. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have on 37 through 43.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone from the public who would like to speak on any of these items here? All right, Counselor, you have any questions for Jamie on any of these? Counselor Starr?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Jamie, when we transfer or sell a liquor license, is the price recorded and is it public?
Are you speaking of?
Probably 39, I believe, is the item. Because that's a
No.
sale, isn't it?
Yeah, it would have been, but no, I don't get involved in the price. That's all done beforehand. So no, I don't ever ask that or don't get involved in that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jamie here tonight?
Make a motion to approve items 37 through 43.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Jensen to approve these items here. Any discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
All right, that item passes 8-0. Next item, please.
Item 44, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, repealing ordinance number 3120, authorizing interim revisions to Chapter 57 of the Code of Ordinances of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, pertaining to the novel coronavirus COVID-19. Sponsors, Councilmember Starr and Jensen.
Counselor Jensen, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What we're doing here is we are rolling back some of the emergency provisions in the section chapter 57 here, requiring homeowners to take garbage out to the curb. It was a good case study to see what data we could get and see how that impacted our garbage haulers. And what we were able to do is we were able to not have a void in our garbage haulers during that time. So what I want to do, or what we should do as a council, is take a look at the data, maybe have Public Works come in front of us at an informational and kind of go over what they learned during this process to see, is there things we can take from this that are good? Are there things that we shouldn't do in here? But we should work together to see if we can improve and keep the safety of our workers and our public at the foresight. So that's what we're doing here. We'll be real brief. I think Councilor Brecky wants to share a little, and then we'll move on from there and then hear from Director Cotter and his team as we go forward in the informational. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counselor Jensen. We want to do a motion, or is this part of the?
I'll wait till we do a motion.
Okay, so we'll take public input and then we'll get into that. Okay. Anybody here to speak on this item tonight for public input? All right, and we'll get a motion on the floor on this.
I move approval.
Second, Star.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Counselor Starr. Counselor Brecky, go ahead.
What I want to discuss a little bit, and I just think it's kind of an important piece of history, and as this turns into a policy discussion on a go-forward basis, I just want people to understand what has gone on with the garbage hauling history in the city of Sioux Falls and why the city of Sioux Falls is so unique in how we have handled our garbage hauling service. Back in the mid-'80s is when we first, as a city, in the mid-'80s as a city, when it was the first time that we actually took serious the act of regulating garbage haulers. Prior to that time, it was kind of like if someone lost their job, they just got a garbage hauler's license, like babysitters used to get babysitting licenses. You know, it was just anybody could do it. And we had a lot of one truck, pickup truck operations. We had a terrible litter problem. There was just no, garbage haulers would come, undercut, get a whole bunch of people and take them away from the competition was fierce. It was just kind of wholly unregulated or just minimally regulated. And so one of the goals that the city set out to accomplish was to introduce some regulation into this kind of largely unregulated industry. And at that time, there were two really large haulers, which still exist in a different form today. It used to be A1 Sanitation Service, which was run by Lyle Swenson, and then Novak Sanitary Service, which was run by Bob Novak. Both of those still exist today. A1 was bought out by Waste Management, and Novak still retains its name, but it has since been bought out by a large corporation as well. And what happened and what we wanted to happen is when we crafted those ordinances to regulate that industry, what we were trying to accomplish was leave the fierce competition in there. We felt as a city we were benefiting from that. People liked having choices. If they got mad at their garbage hauler or the service wasn't good, they liked having choices and knowing that there was another one that was willing to step in and take their place. And so as the regulations came down, it was things like tarping and having the proper kinds of equipment for hauling garbage so that people would be required to make an investment. They couldn't really just do it with a pickup truck anymore, and they'd have to, really make it a business. But it worked well because what it did do is it left intact that model of competition, that open free market model of competition. In a lot of cities, you'll see a municipal service or you'll see just a contracted service where they'll contract out with one or two providers and divide the city up. The benefit to the citizens that we've had as a result of how that has evolved in Sioux Falls is we still have a large number of haulers. Back, when this was going on in the 80s, there was like 33 to 38 haulers at any given time. As I understand it, there's still 20-some haulers, in the city of Sioux Falls again today. The benefit that it gives the city is that competition, creates a high standard of service. And the crux of that high standard of service is this go pick it up at your door, go in your garage and pick it up. That is the level of service we have always had, and that's the level of service that's been contained in our ordinances, is that we require that we don't allow it to be brought to curbside. It's actually the ordinance requirement that the garbage haulers actually go to the door and pick it up. That is an extraordinary service, and a lot of cities don't have that. We gave that up during this pandemic because we wanted to make sure that service, that essential service, was going to run unhampered in case they lost employees, due to COVID. And so we took a temporary break in that. The other thing that's been a huge benefit to the city is by having that kind of service, we're extraordinarily clean. It just looks cleaner all the time. All morning long in Sioux Falls, if you take your dog for a walk at 6 a.m. or you take your dog or child, on the bike ride at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., when we're not in the COVID situation, you don't have to see those garbage cans out at the street. You don't have to see it flying about the street and dogs getting into them, all of those things. So I just wanted to take a little time to explain to the public this huge benefit that we've had, that it's really important on a go-forward basis once we get COVID behind us to try to continue to maintain, I think, that philosophy of having a strong competition, good haulers, good businessmen in the business, but plenty of them, and to maintain this level of service that we have that most other cities don't enjoy. So when we go back to being normal, I certainly think we should take a look and learn what we've learned and review this from a policy standpoint, but I also think we should remember our past and what we were trying to do and how well it's benefited the city over the long run, and can continue to benefit the city in the future.
All right, thank you, Councilor. Other discussion on this item? Got a motion and a second on the floor. All right, hearing none. Let's take a vote on it, please, Tom.
Councilmember Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Sale.
Yes. That passes 8-0. We'll move to item 54, which is
Next item is item 54, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, declaring certain real property of the city surplus and approving offer to purchase. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Sponsor is the mayor.
evening, Mark.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This action is to declare a piece of city land surplus and also approve an agreement of an exchange of property. And so we've essentially, with the build out of 69th Street in front of the Heart Hospital in recent years, for us to bring in a road named Beale Street, we needed to purchase a piece of property and use a portion of that for public right-of-way to make that connection to 69th Street. We maintained a remnant up until this point, and then the property owner that we're working through is the adjacent property owner. We needed a couple H lots from that property owner, and then to ultimately build the drainage systems and the road system. And so essentially the city remnant's about 19,745 square feet. We had that appraised at $3.25 a square foot for a value of $65,000. The two H lots that we needed from the property owner had an area of combined of 6,408 square feet and at the same appraised value since the two are adjacent to each other. And so effectively to complete the sale, the property owner will have to bring $44,174 to closing to complete this agreement. It's a win-win. The project was a big success, one of our key arterial streets in our area. So I would ask for your support.
All right, thank you, Mark. Anyone from the public who would like to speak to this item tonight? Council, do you have any questions for Mark on this item? Look for a motion.
Set the second reading for Tuesday, April 6th.
Second.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, let's vote on it, please.
Councilmember Starr? Yes. Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale.
Yes. That passes 8-0. Next item, please.
Next item, item 45, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 4301 West 12th Street from the I-2 Heavy Industrial District to the I-1 Light Industrial and CN Conservation Districts, number 13784-2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Private applicant, JSA, Chris Gibbon.
Hi, Albert. Mayor, Council, Albert Schmidt, City of Sioux Falls Planning and Development Services. So this location here is in the kind of the east side, southwest quarter section, if you will, barely. The applicant is Chris Gibbon with JSA, and the owner is Crossroads LLC. Currently, it's zoned I-2, as you can see here. We're looking to rezone that to I-1. As we talked about, generally location, it's in the southeast corner of 12th Street and I-29. Very visible area. It's approximately 26.1 acres in size, and the proposal is to redevelop this site, former Gage Brothers site, into retail and light warehousing. And they're providing some CN there for the retention of stormwater, things like that. So staff has reviewed it. It's recommended for approval. We'd like to see a second reading. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Albert. Anyone from the public who would like to speak to this item here? Council, do you have any questions for Albert on this rezone? All right, look for a motion. Set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6 here.
So move, Jensen.
Second.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Erickson on that. Any discussion, Council? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Starr? Yes. Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson? Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale.
Yes. All right, that passes 8-0. Next item, please.
Item 46, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 406 West 4th Street from the RT2 Townhome Residential Traditional District to the O Office District, number 13816-2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Private applicant Earhart Griffin and Associates, Damian Grebel.
And this location here is right on the northwest side of downtown. It's at 406.11 acres in size, real small area. And the purpose really here is to unify the property they just acquired to move to their business in there, and so for future expansion of the office building.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public who would like to speak to this rezone here? Council, any questions on this one? Look for,
Set the second reading for Tuesday, April 6th.
Second, Jensen.
I think Counselor Sale beat you, Alex, sorry. So motion by Erickson, seconded by Counselor Sale to approve this item and send it to a second reading. Any discussion here? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Starr? Yes. Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Eitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
All right, that one passes 8-0. Item 47, please.
Item 47, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located 4801 and 4803 South Sunnymead Circle from the O Office and RS Single Family Residential Suburban Districts to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban and CN Conservation Districts, number 13515-2020, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Private applicant Earhart Griffin and Associates, Damian Grebel.
All right, this location here in the southeast, located south of East 57th Street and east of South Minnesota Avenue, kind of tucked away in there, very hilly, foresty area. It's approximately 1.51 acres in size total, and the purpose here, long-term, is to subdivide this area into 4 residential lots.
All right. Thank you, Albert. Anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item here? Councilors, do you have any questions for Albert on this one? All right, look for a motion. Set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6.
I so move. Sale.
I got a second?
Second, Erickson.
All right, second by Counselor Erickson. Any discussion, council? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Starr? Yes. Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yeah.
Eitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
All right, that item passes 8-0. Next item.
Item 48, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located north of West 41st Street and west of South Ellis Road from the LW Live Work District to the C3 Commercial Community District, number 13822-2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Private applicant, Lloyd Companies, Luke Jessen.
This location is located north of West 41st Street and just west of South Ellis Road on the southwest side of town. It's approximately 1.49 acres in size, and the purpose here is they're going to build an indoor mini storage facility at this location, so the zoning needed to match that plan. So that's what we're looking for.
All right, thanks, Albert. Anyone from the public who would like to speak to this one? Councilors, you got any questions here? Look for a motion. Set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6.
Second, Brecky.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Counselor Brecky on that. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson? Yes. Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Eitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Item 49.
Item 49, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located east of South Foss Avenue and south of East 18th Street from the LW Live Work District to the RE1 Apartment Residential Low Density District, number 13823-2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Private applicant, Lloyd Companies, Luke Jessen.
This one's located kind of the southeast corner, a little further south of East 18th Street and South Foss Avenue. The streets aren't really fully built out yet, so it's hard to envision when you're out there, but basically Dolly Farms Village. and it's abutting between there and the single family that's to the southwest there. The location size total is about 7.79 acres, and then the purpose here is to really act as a buffer zone to the future LW construction and to provide a 2-story, 12-unit apartment building between the future higher density to the east and the existing single family to the west and south.
All right, thank you, Albert. Anyone from the public who would like to speak on this topic? Counselors, do you have any questions for Albert here?
Second reading to Tuesday, April 6th.
Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Erickson, seconded by Counselor Jensen to set a second reading for Tuesday, April 6th. Any discussion on that one? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Item 50.
Item 50, first reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located south of West 85th Street and east of South Townsley Avenue from the O Office District to the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density and the CN Conservation Districts number 13789-2021 and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0 with the following condition. Minimum building setback along 85th Street of 40 feet. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Private applicant, Signature Companies, LLC, Clint Ackerman.
Excellent. So this one's in our southwest quadrant, located in the southeast corner of West 85th Street and South Townsley Avenue. And the size is 4.88 acres. And the purpose here is to continue the style development just to the east of the 2-story apartments on the lot. So they'll kind of look like townhomes and those kind of stuff.
All right, thank you, Albert. Anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item here?
Move second reading to Tuesday, April 6th.
Second.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Jensen to set a date of second reading for the April 6th. Any discussion here? All right, let's take a
Mr.
vote.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilor Nitzert, I believe that was.
Yes. Could Albert tell us what the condition was for?
Absolutely, Counselor. So with this location, it's along 85th Street. Currently, it's zoned office. We did a sound study associated with the 85th Street interchange project. Federal government came back and said we had a sound issue in the area. And so we're trying to work with the applicant on figuring out an appropriate distance back. By default, 100 feet is probably the distance you'd want to push any of these facilities back to make sure they don't get impacted by sound. We felt that an appropriate medium ground in that area based on the sound study that was done on 85th Street was 40 feet to help get development still going, but yet still protect those residents from the future sound of 85th Street.
Thanks, Albert.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we vote on the motion here? All right, let's take a vote, Tom.
Councilmember Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Item 51, please.
Item 51, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning property located at 1700 East 72nd Street North from the RS Single Family Residential Suburban and RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban Districts to the RA2 Apartment Residential High Density, RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban, and I1 Light Industrial Districts number 13818-2021 and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Private applicant, Parkland Real Estate Group, Clint Dreyer.
Excellent. Just so you know, for applicant is not here, but Ryan Tisdale is here who can answer questions if things come up for us. This location is north of East Dyke Drive and east of south of North Siebert Avenue. It's right there on the west side. The size for this total area is 14.89 acres. And the purpose here is for development of this area to construct future industrial uses on the southern lot and 2-story apartments for roughly around 90 units in the middle lot, and then transition into twin homes and single family on the north lot. Neighborhood concerns on this have been voiced at our meeting for Planning Commission, and they had mainly around traffic, the size of apartments, and safety. The applicant is working with an engineering company to talk about and complete a traffic memo currently between now and second reading. We believe that will get done. And that way they can make sure that the existing street can handle the change in use and the additional units. This memo, again, should be done by second reading. We're pretty confident in that side of things. The applicant is aware of the neighborhood's concerns on the size of the apartments and is contemplating dropping the zoning request of the apartment zone from RA2 down to RA1. And then this would take the maximum size, as you would know. RA2 allows for 3 stories, 48 units, whereas the RA1 only allows for 2-story, 24 units per building. So that would help to alleviate some of those larger apartment building questions. So with that, I can take any questions. Otherwise, looking for second reading.
All right, thank you, Albert. Anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight, please come on forward. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Don Van Bakker, and I live in Granite Valley up there. I'm here kind of on behalf of the neighborhood. I've got over 80 signatures with me. I could have had all the people come down here, but I figured for this one, I'd bring the signatures. Our biggest concern is right now is traffic, and that picture up there doesn't show our development. I think if you would look at the way our streets are designed up there, it was done very poorly. Everybody in that development, including myself, has to use 67th Street if you're going to go into town. Now, if you want to go north out on Siebert and hit 72nd Street, you can go over to the road that comes off the end of 229. And so 67th Street right now, just with what we have for our development, is very busy. I mean, it's very, and I have to use it. I actually live south of 67th down on Gold Nugget Circle, or down on Gold Nugget and Gold Dust. I live actually backed up to I-1. I bought my property back there knowing that. And so when we heard about this, we as a neighborhood got together. We had a meeting in a friend's garage, and very opposed to it for traffic mostly. I know after the planning and zoning, because even Albert said during this process that it was challenging trying to fit this in that location. And I'm born and raised in Sioux Falls, and I've been trying to think of where I could find an apartment house on the back side of residential. Normally apartment houses are on a main artery where you come and go generally right on a main street. You don't go through a residential neighborhood to get to it. That was one of our biggest concerns. I know they talked about road study, and I'm sure that wasn't done with apartment complexes. It probably was done with residential back there. So we as a neighborhood, we would like to have that remain residential, just like it is north of it. I'm persuaded if they can find somebody to buy the property to the north, they can find somebody also to fill in that property with homes like we were told would be there when we bought our properties. So that's really what we would like, is just for you guys to consider the total layout, where it's located, the amount of people that will be there, and just kind of the dynamics with an apartment complex being on the backside of residential. Because if you look to the east of there, it's all still fields. And so there really is no other arteries or veins or ways for them to move around. And 67th Street is basically right at the end of the driveway coming out of that complex. And and we talked to Clint Dreyer after the planning and zoning. Great guy, had a really great discussion with him. He was actually not opposed to maybe cul-de-sacing off 67th Street if that was a doable thing. But for us as a neighborhood, we really would like it to stay residential if at all possible.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak on this topic tonight? Come on up. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dick Wild. I'm here along with Don. Just reinforce what he's saying. I'm going to take a few seconds, but what he said is pretty much what quite a group of us would like to see done. I know we built a home up there 2 years ago, a new one, and unexpectedly we were told kind of the same thing, that this would be a housing place, and so that's why we built there. Traffic is a big issue. I'm just going to pretty much ditto what Don said. And I hope you take it all into consideration because 67th Street is very busy. A lot of young kids on it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dick. Anyone else here to speak on this item tonight? All right. Council, do you have any questions for Albert on this item? Councilor Erickson, go ahead.
I just have a couple questions for you, Albert. If you could flip back to the other map that shows one more. Yep, nope, go forward. That one, thank you. Talk to me a little, I'm going to come to the traffic, but I first have questions about the storage area. Because I know we've had issues talking about in front of us in the past that we don't want single-family homes next to storage units, and now that's the proposal, which the council, we agreed that we didn't agree with what was brought forward. We said, wait a minute, if there's right screening, blah, 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 then we're fine with it. So talk to me about why this one's okay. What is the screening going to look like? I do appreciate that, one, there's not any houses in there yet, so they know what's going to be across the street from them. They're not just putting the storage in before the homes are in.
Yeah, no, very good point. So to start off with, this is a very unique development. As designed currently, it would make a tough way for us to bring that same design forward today with our codes and our stances on things. However, with the industrial side, I should just kind of start out with the side of that proposal right now that's in there. We haven't heard that many concerns from the neighborhood on that issue at all. This example here, the one on the right-hand side, does a little bit of job to show you that we have the buffer yard standards in place there. So for us to make it as compatible as possible with those kind of things, we have those standards in place to have, I believe, the level C on this side, buffer yard. So we have the berm, trees, fence, shrubs, things like that. The other thing that we should note in this instance is that the seller of the property and the buyer of the property have done a good job, in our opinion, of making sure that the most affected properties are all under the same ownership so that they do know exactly what's going on. So Mr. Dreyer does have all the lots on the west side of Siebert in contract with this land as well. So he's also in control of that. And then for us, long-term looking at this, again, it's a unique situation. When you look at our long-term comprehensive plan, to the east of this, we envision more light industrial. And so not only are we looking at this from a buffer from the single family from the north, but also we're looking at this as potentially a buffer for the single family from the east, from the west to the east.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of where we're looking at it. And we've taken a lot of time, staff-wise, looking, going, how do you make this make the most sense and still make it work financially for the developer, especially since this is going to include getting Siebert installed and put in place all the way from where it stops at 69th Street North, all the way down to East Dyke Drive, which East Dyke Drive, as you may know, has a lighted intersection over in Cliff Avenue.
And I know it does transition from industrial to industrial, so I get that. I'm just going off of an example from before is why. So talk to me a little bit about the traffic. Talk to me about traffic flow, traffic movement, where are additional roads going to go? Can the roads handle it? I mean, that's generally something we always hear about is traffic, but I understand that the roads are built to handle that, but I want to hear you talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to it. It's a very, very important part to look at here when you have traffic going on in the neighborhood, especially with 67th Street, where it's a main street, it's surrounded by single family on both sides. We have the same concerns as well. Our first concern was, we don't want industrial traffic to go down Residential Street. So that was our main concern. We worked with the applicant, and he pushed the site plan to show that kind of traffic closer to Dyke Drive to try to really encourage that. Now, when looking at total numbers, our engineering division looked at this from the beginning and said, we really need to focus on the total number of units that are going to be out here. And that's where the traffic memo comes into play. I haven't seen the final version of that, but that's where they wanted that time and energy and money spent on doing that analyzing of the streets, of the widths, of the proposed traffic that could be out there and seeing if the streets can handle it by an engineering standard or if it's just not feasible. So I don't have an easy answer for you right now, but I do know that when they were looking at it, the initial knee-jerk comment, really just the first thing out of the gate was, is it less than 100 units? And so that's kind of the threshold. We originally just thought if it's more than that, we obviously got to see full engineering on this from a traffic side of it. That's being done now, so I have, by second reading, you should have a lot better answer from that from a professional standpoint rather than my engineering guesswork.
That's okay. No, I appreciate that. And then what will be on the east side behind it? Will roads eventually go through there? It doesn't show to have any roads go through that way to maybe handle some traffic at some point, or, I mean.
That's a great question. I don't have a really good answer for you on this side of things. In my untrained eye, there's other roads that maybe could have been designed to put in place to help accommodate that, but as it sits right now, these roads all dead end in this area, and so access to that side to the east is going to have to be either done through private access to get to the west here, or they're going to have some sort of access to go north onto up there on 72nd Street North and then get over to Cliff Avenue, or continue east to the interstate interchange with 229.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Other questions for Albert? Counselor Sale? Albert, stay on up here, man.
Albert, and when Councilor Erickson was talking about traffic flow, what I'd really be interested in is seeing what kind of data you have for that. And when we talk about what's going possibly light industrial out there, let's get some numbers together so that we can have a view of not just this. I mean, if we approve this, things go through, 2 years later, somebody comes back out, and where's all this traffic going to go? So if we could get a little bit comprehensive long-term just to what might happen out there, I think it would really help us make the decision on April 6th when we have to work on it.
I can definitely throw that request towards Jason Beaver, who will knock that out of the park and give you all the information you're looking for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Knights here, you have a question?
Yeah, this is for Albert. I need to take a closer look at this, so I don't have an opinion, but I believe in the title of the ordinance, it's actually wrong. It says RA2 high density. That would be moderate density. I believe RA3 would be high, so I think we ought to get that corrected and just to be clear for the public of what we're talking about.
Good clarification, yes. And just so you know, when we started this from point A, the original request was to go to RA3, and we said we really need to examine that. So that's where that one word got left in there, unfortunately. So yeah, that needs to be medium density currently. And again, the applicant is okay with bringing that down to the lowest one, RA1 as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Counselor Starr, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Albert, I guess to follow up a little bit, I'm concerned that we move forward without the traffic memo. Without the traffic memo, the Planning Commission didn't get to consider that as well, and you're still saying it might be here, in 2 weeks, I guess, is our next meeting. So I guess I'm concerned that we move forward with these things to push the timing without having all the information for folks. I could see where that would have made a difference to the Planning Commission, having that availability. It would definitely, maybe we can bring the neighbors on board by doing some of those things. So by pushing this forward without some of those steps in place really makes it a lot more difficult for us to do our job and to get the recommendations that we need from the Planning Commission.
Sure, and I will say to you, with the traffic memo, I've talked to engineering on that side. If the traffic memo comes back and says to do this, they have to do X, Y, and Z. If they don't do that, then we won't be able to issue building permits on the property. And so that's where, from that side, we knew that you're going to have to conform to that standard. So if you can't meet that, you're not going to be able to build what you want to build.
And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make is that we need to be proactive with this. We did that earlier in, I think it was item 50, where there were noise concerns. So we took care of making the noise adjustments as part of it. This one, we're moving forward without doing that. And so that's where I'm just,
sure.
I get the timing and making construction cycles, and the weather around this part of the country doesn't help. And so I get that we sometimes move these forward, but sometimes we take the decision-making process out of it by not having everything. And I know it's not required, so I appreciate the applicant at least moving forward with that, so we can answer some of those questions. Thank you.
Other questions for Albert here? Counselor Brecky, did you have a?
Nothing for Albert, but one for the city attorney.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm assuming that we should make those amendments tonight, right? Because it's in the head of the, if the heading of the ordinance reading is wrong, then we want to amend it on first read so that it's accurately reflected in the second reading, and that's when we vote on it. So I guess if you agree with me, then I would have Albert come back up, tell us precisely what language we need to change, and we should make that amendment before we move it forward.
Yeah, I think technically the rule is that those types of amendments should be made at second reading, but I understand what you're saying, and I guess I wouldn't mind some more information from Albert myself on the specifics there, just to ensure that we've got proper public notice. But typically amendments are made on the ordinances at second reading, as technically, we're here on whether it should go to second reading, but I welcome the question as well.
Well, it's just that when the heading is wrong,
Right.
and when the heading is wrong, that's your notice. So I think as soon as we are aware of it, the better that we make those amendments.
Sure, I'll try to address that real quickly for you. So the change-wise, if you were to make it at the current proposal you see in front of you here, the one correction we have is changing one word from high to medium. So it would read, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 1700 East 72nd Street North from the RS Single Family Residential Suburban and RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban Districts to the RA2 Apartment Residential Medium Density, RD1 Townhome Duplex Residential Suburban, and the High 1 Light Industrial Districts number 13818-2021 and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls.
All right, thanks, Albert.
You know, I don't know of anything that would be fatal about amending it tonight, and I do want to err on the side of ensuring the public has notice, so I'm comfortable with that.
Is now the appropriate time to do that? We're in discussion.
Well, we'll get a motion on the
to
floor
pass.
first, and then we can amend, make an amendment. Does someone want to make a motion to send this to second reading?
Sure, I'll make the motion to move it to second reading.
All right.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Brecky, seconded by Jensen to second reading, and then Counselor Brecky, do you want to introduce that amendment then?
I'd make a motion that the word high is deleted and the word medium is added in its place in line 4 of the heading of the ordinance.
All right. Go ahead, before we get a second, I'm going to.
Counselor Brecky, would you mind also including, if you look at the screen, making reference to the body too, because it's also down there.
Oh, okay.
So in the title and the body.
Yeah, I would just, add the title and the body.
All right, so replacing the word high with medium, both the title and the body of this ordinance. Do I have a second for that?
Second, Sale.
All right, seconded by Counselor Sale. All right, let's take a vote on that, please.
Councilmember Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0, so we're at the main motion as amended to send this to a second reading. Any other discussion here, council? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote then, please.
Councilmember Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
That passes 8-0. On to item 52.
Item 52, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 160, zoning by adding subchapter original art murals and amending sections 160.005 and 160.578. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Sponsor is the mayor.
All right. Good evening, Shauna.
Good evening. I'm Shauna Goldammer with Planning and Development Services, and I'm here to present the mural ordinance, which is super exciting for us as a city and born of the Visual Arts Commission. I have here with me tonight the chairman of the Visual Arts Commission, James Zychek, and we are here to present a mural ordinance, which, a little trivia, the only place that the word ordinance shows up in mural shows up in our Code of Ordinances is in the prohibited signs section. Now, of course, the Visual Arts Commission wants to encourage artistic expression within our community. And so this ordinance hopefully will create more murals because as a community, we really want more artwork. So this is a real simple 3-section ordinance. The first section creates a couple of definitions and modifies one definition, updates our department name to Planning and Development Services. The second section, and I really want to encourage you to read this purpose and intent, but you can see that we're trying to encourage artistic expression and the creation of more murals. And we also want to contribute to the cultural identity of a neighborhood and foster a sense of pride. We think murals will do that. Then we also, in section 2, have some standards that we found were important when people are creating murals in our community. And also, rather than permitting, we're going to do murals with a registration so we can have a story map created by our GIS department that shows where these community assets are. So that's what section 2 does. And then section 3 is just taking it out of the current prohibited sign section of our zoning ordinance. And that, it's pretty straightforward, and I hope that you support the Visual Arts Commission and the community in the creation of more murals.
Excellent. Thank you, Shauna. Anyone from the public here to speak on this topic tonight? All right, counselors, do you have any questions for Shauna on this one? Go ahead, Counselor Brecky.
Just a couple. What kind of protections are in there? I mean, it's that whole issue of who gets to decide what's art and what isn't art. You know, you said there's standards in there, you know, and it's going to be a registration. How do we make sure that we're not, I mean, I understand and I'm excited about it. I don't want to be unexcited about it. I think it's great to finally get it out of the prohibited section and recognize it and embrace it, but do want to be careful that there's not some abuse and that, you know, abusive things don't, you know, be challenged as being murals.
Right. So what the Visual Arts Commission did not want to be was the sign police. We already have those. And so we'll let the sign police deal with signs and make those determinations if it is more sign-like than not. This is not part of the sign code. This is a separate zoning section. And the reason we chose zoning is because the appeals and the rulemaking authority is already in zoning and in state law. So we found that it was a good fit to just create a new section in the 2013 Shaped Places zoning ordinance. So
who are our sign police?
that would be like the code enforcement folks and the people who issue sign permits.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Shauna? All right, look for a motion to set a second reading for Tuesday, April 6th.
So moved.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Counselor Sale. Any discussion here? All right, hearing none, let's
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Counselor Neitzer.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I applaud them for taking a run at this. This has been a tough thing to figure out over many, many years when we've run into murals versus signs. And I think this would be the last shot to publicly thank Shauna for her service and offer her best wishes in her next adventure. I think she's going to be leaving us in a few days.
It's correct. So Shauna, after 26 years, 23 years, Shauna's retiring on Friday, and we will have someone else have to do the second reading because she's out of here. So, yes, thank you, Shauna. This will be your last time in front of this body, so thanks for 23 years of great work. So, yeah, we can clap for that. The guy behind, yeah, there you go. So, great note to end on. So, any other discussion here? All right, if hearing none, let's take a vote then, please.
Councilmember Starr? Yes. Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Eitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale?
Yes.
Okay, that passes 8-0. On to item 53.
Item 53, a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota approving the commemorative naming designation of a bridge over the Big Sioux River on West 41st Street. Private applicant Patrick Murphy.
All right, Shauna,
All
one
right,
more.
I get another fun one.
Yeah.
So this one, and I do have the applicant here, and he's going to come up and present more of his application. This particular idea came out of the Veterans Administration, the State Veterans Administration Bridge Naming Program. However, to qualify for the state program, it's state highways and state bridges. Well, this particular naming is after someone who is an O'Gorman graduate and a City of Sioux Falls resident. And so we worked with the applicant to come up with a bridge at the foot of the O'Gorman campus to name in honor of PFC Kirby John Doherty. And with that, I'm going to ask Pat to come up here and explain his application and how he wants to commemorate his friend and classmate.
That'd be great. Hey, Pat.
Thank you. Kirby was a classmate my sophomore year at O'Gorman, and then I transferred to Washington High for my final 2 years. But Kirby got drafted in 1968. I got drafted in 1969 when I graduated from USD. Kirby went with one infantry combat unit. I went with a different one. Kirby unfortunately got killed on his very first mission. It was kind of a horrendous deal for him. When they went out on the mission, they got ambushed, and he didn't get the order that they were drawing back and they were going to try to get to the helicopters to get out of the zone. Anyway, he got left and spent the whole night out in the jungle by himself. And the next day, they came back to look for him. Didn't know if he was alive or dead, but he was still alive. He ran for the rescue chopper and got killed by a sniper. So his first mission, and he was killed. I spent 14 months over there with a combat unit. I came out of there with no scratch whatsoever. I kind of looked at this as sort of a payback. Kirby gave the ultimate sacrifice. I did my bit, but I came back in one piece. Kirby would have been the same age as me today. I just turned 74 a couple of weeks ago. I have had a full life. I can't complain. I've been very blessed. Kirby never got that chance. I looked at what the state was trying to do, and it made a lot of sense. But on the other hand, I thought, we've got 16 veterans from Vietnam era that were killed from Sioux Falls, that were killed in combat. There was other veterans that got killed for other reasons, for accidents, for whatever. But we're just looking at, at least I was, just looking at guys that were killed in combat. And there were 16 from Sioux Falls that either were pilots or infantrymen or artillerymen or whatever that got killed during that, from South Dakota, from Sioux Falls. I looked at something we could do on behalf of Kirby, and I thought, well, O'Gorman sits right there by the 41st Street Bridge over the Sioux River, right at the entrance to the south entrance to O'Gorman. And I thought it would be kind of appropriate if we could put a sign on the two light poles that are at both ends of the ridge, kind of what the state's doing with regard to the state project, and just do it locally, rather than look for some bridge out in the country that would be on a state highway. And I thought this would have a lot more impact if we did it within the city limits. But Sean has been extremely helpful with me in trying to put this all together and present it, before you folks, to see if it's something that you might be interested in us doing, maybe with other veterans as well from Sioux Falls that have, paid the price in combat. I just looked at the Vietnam situation because that was the one I was in, and that's the one that Kirby was in. And so, granted, there's other veterans from Sioux Falls that could be recognized as well in the future, and I think we have a number of bridges that we could look at as well. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I just thought it was one veteran kind of doing a service of recognition to another veteran that paid the price.
Amen. Pat, thank you. Thanks for your service, and thanks for your work in championing this. We'll take some public input if there is any on this. Anybody here to speak on this item tonight? All right, I'm going to go to Councilor Kiley first on the phone. Councilor Kiley, Pat's at the podium if you want to talk to Pat at all, or I know you have some comments to open up as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As a 1972 graduate of O'Gorman, I look forward to supporting this item. Kirby died in action in 1968, just as I was beginning my freshman year at O'Gorman. The plaque that hung on the wall in the foyer of the main entrance is something I will always remember as I pass it multiple times daily throughout my years at O'Gorman. Kirby's memorial plaque certainly brought the horrors and realities of the Vietnam War home versus being something simply viewed on the screen of a television from the safe confines of your home. I greatly appreciate Kirby's service to his country, community, and to his school. Like many others, I wish Kirby had returned home safely and that tonight we would not be naming a bridge after him. Rather, we would be gathered tonight to award him for contributions he undoubtedly would have made to his community had he survived. Regrettably, that is not how things turned out, so it will be my honor and privilege to cast a vote of approval on this very worthy item, the naming of the PFC Kirby John Doherty Memorial Bridge. Additionally, I want to take this opportunity to thank Pat Murphy for bringing this item forward and to thank him for his service to our country. I would also like to thank the O'Gorman Class of 65 for their continued support of the Kirby Doherty Memorial Fund. Your support of Kirby and the good that has come from the establishment of his memorial is greatly appreciated. Again, I wholeheartedly support the naming of the PFC Kirby John Doherty Memorial Bridge. Thank you for the opportunity to address this item.
All right, thank you, Counselor. I'm going to go to Counselor Erickson and then Counselor Selberg.
Thank you. First of all, Pat, thanks for your service. I appreciate that, and I think everyone would be lucky to have you as a friend and be an advocate for them, such as you're doing for your friend Kirby today. I received an email today, I'm sure maybe a few others did as well, with the story that Jody Schwan wrote about it, and I'd encourage you to go read it. It shows pictures of Kirby, really tells the story from your words as well as hers. And in this email that I received, and Councilor Kiley alluded to it as well, that there is a class established memorial fund in Kirby's name, and they consistently continue to raise money, and it's grown over $20,000 to be able to give back. While I wish we didn't have to name a bridge after a fallen soldier, I'm so grateful for the freedoms that we all get to choose here in the United States and for those that have gone before us. And so thank you for bringing this forward. I think it's the least we can do to honor those that sacrifice their lives for us. Thank you.
Counselor Selberg, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know that I can say anything much better than it's been said already. Councilor Kiley really nailed it on there. But I just love this. And Pat, thank you for your moving presentation, and thank you for your service, and thank you for doing this. I just love things like this. So awesome job. My vote is 100% yes on this one.
Thank you, Counselor. Other comments or discussion on this item, Council? Counselor Kiley, would you like to make a motion on this?
I would love to. Move to approve.
Second, Brecky.
All right, motion by Counselor Kiley, seconded by Counselor Brecky to approve item 53. Any final discussion here? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote on this, please.
Councilmember Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale?
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it, man. All right, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business we want to discuss tonight? All right, I'm not seeing or hearing any, so we'll move to general public input portion of our agenda. And as a reminder, input during this portion will last no more than 3 minutes per person. So at this time, I'd like to invite anyone forward for general public input. Good evening.
Greetings. I'm David Zokaitis, and I'm here to talk to you tonight about safer handcuffs. All right, now, back in the old days when we had slavery in this country, these are the kind of shackles that you might have seen on a slave. Wide area of impact and some real chains there. Compare that to modern handcuffs. They are much smaller, much more compact, and a lot thinner. Because they're smaller, that makes it more convenient to carry, but because of the design, they are far more confining. There's a smaller area of contact on the wrist, and that all makes them more dangerous and easier to abuse. An alternative you see once in a while is plastic handcuffs, typically for mass arrests. But the usage pattern of plastic handcuffs increases injury, partially due to how long the people are stuck wearing them. Back in the old days, you were handcuffed with your hands in front of you. Nowadays, you get them stuck in your back and all twisted up, and that increases the chance of injury and pain. And indeed, long-term injuries are possible with handcuffs. Nerve injury in particular can be long-term, but also people get bruises and abrasions, and hopefully you never fall when you've got handcuffs on, because that promises to be very damaging. Possible permanent injury. Fractures are possible. Some of the small bones in your hand get broken once in a while. And handcuff-related nerve injuries can be severe and permanent. Got to be concerned about legal problems once in a while. If you over-tighten these darn things, or too rough when you put them on, excessive force lawsuits are sometimes applicable. So what do you do with all these problems? Well, you redesign the darn things. Said we should commission an engineer to look at all these problems and maybe use nylon webbing instead of steel. Get a wider area of contact between the manacle and your wrist. Good way to solve some problems. Now, before I go, we got to have some cool artwork at the end. And here's an alien landscape right here in town, something to smile about for a little while. And with that, good evening, everybody.
All right, thank you. Anyone else here for public input tonight? All right, not seeing any. Need a motion to adjourn us out.
Move to adjourn, Erickson.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Erickson, seconded by Jensen to adjourn us. Roll call vote on that, please. Tom.
Councilmember Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Sale?
Okay, that passes 8-0. We are adjourned for the night. Have a good night, everyone.